Hey everybody, this is Richard, and welcome to Dark Designs in Krevborna, a mashup of my game Dark Designs in Verdigris, with the awesome Krevborna setting by Jack Shear, available on Drive-Thru RPG. Go and buy it. I am joined by the Krevborna crew of players for our final session. We are playing through Jack's module Hexmoon, Sabbath, set in Krevborna, and we are nearing the end of exploring or getting to the Tower of Zvasta, one of the three sisters of Hexmoon Sabbath. As we do that, last week Nemes and Mason were carefully exploring the town, discovered that the inn was run by a demonic figure who seemed to want to eat one of their NPC companions, and recruited some church knights to involuntarily help them free everyone. Had several misadventures surrounding that, and adventures. Eventually getting away from the demon and taking refuge with a group of knights from the vampiric country of Lamashtu, or the vampire-run country of Lamashtu, and picking up a lackey along the way named Armand, who is a former protege of Zvasta, but who's quite despondent about having lost his position with her. While they were doing that, Altaban was trying to inject some music and joy into the residents of the supposedly abandoned and destitute town of Vale. And Altaban, in doing this, you've attracted some attention from some of the Lamashtu knights and several Vale residents, including some children, some older folks, some people who came out with crafts they were working on and weaving just to hear you play. Why don't you roll with charisma? As you've drawn attention from a lot of sketchy seeming people, unless you'd like to just put out a trade on the table now for a partial success. Or not roll with charisma. Sorry, roll with duplicity. I apologize. It's like I didn't write this game.
I rolled a 6, and I will increase it to.
So is that your total roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a 7.
It's 7. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so if you want to increase that to a full success, you can mark your enchanting voice or something else if you think that applies.
I'll do performer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So by marking a trait, you promote a success to a full success. And crossing performer off, and they kind of circle around you, and why don't you ask me 3 questions as you play for these people about things you learn either by watching, listening to, or talking to them in this town.
So I'm hearing a loud slapping.
Sorry, the heater. For those of you who are not used to old heating systems in old cities, this is what a New York heating system sounds like. So I'll put you on mute I'll put myself on mute real quick.
So 3 questions. So we're in a town that's pretty destitute, and
it's supposedly abandoned. No, it was never actually deserted, but supposedly they came and drove everybody out of the town because it was corrupted and haunted by demons long ago.
right. But the people that live here are just kind of people that just were themselves destitute because they needed to find. It's just more in pursuit of shelter than anything else.
Yeah, they're destitute or really opportunistic. They're really, exploring the mountains and using this as just a kind of a criminal base of operations.
Okay, so my first question is, what does this community need in order to become a proper community, a proper self-sufficient, develop it into a proper town?
Well, they no longer need to be under like a church interdict, but they'd also need to free themselves of this sort of like haunting. Like you don't meet people that you know to be demons, but you meet people who are clearly deeply strange in ways that you might find demonic. People, like a couple of people who just sort of look at you and smile while you're playing. And not in a like, oh my gosh, that man is playing nice songs way, but like they're going to pounce on you at any minute, even though they never seem to. Or they're looking at the audience that you've drawn in that same way. And it's not that you think that whatever the church knights did long ago to drive people out of Vale was necessarily right, but you definitely see that it was not done for fictitious reasons. There's something eerie, creepy, and shadowy in this town, or what's left of this town.
I don't know if this works, but is Sava like, what is her purpose? Sava's a her, right?
Yeah, but no one knows.
Well, I mean,
the people who've come. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, she's calling people for a performance, so she's
Right.
inviting. So, is this like? Can anything be gleaned as to like why she would be inviting this community? Like, is this going to be a huge sacrifice, or is she really just lonely?
There's based on the people, like, yeah, and like you see and hear from some of the people who seem to have either deserted her or been thrown out. We're calling them the penitents, for sake of reference, but that Armand is part of, and that Nem is. And overhearing them, they're not sure why she's having this, but it's not you get a sense that a giant sacrifice bloodbath is not her style. She's much more of the seductress dominatrix type of villain than the call you out in the woods and sick 1,000 bears on you or something like that, or drop stones or you sense that if she's up to something deliberately malicious in a short term, it would be much more performative. And she may be trying to show off in front of the church knights or in front of the Lamashtuns. Or, get some sort of loyalty from the town. Lure them into something or something like that. But it's not a she's much more of the dark trickster type of villain than that you sense than the mass killer or mass murderer type. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she's more of a what type again?
She's more of a trickster, seductress, dominatrix type.
Yeah.
She's much more likely to try to do something subtly cruel. Maybe not subtly is the right, like trickstery cruel. Or it's possible she's trying to show off in front of these different groups of knights to demonstrate her level of control to them.
Okay, so does this last question, I mean, it only pertains to the town specifically, right?
Yeah. So things you might learn by watching, listening to, talking to people as you perform with them for them.
So I can't think of another question right now.
Okay.
Because we're all going together, right?
She is.
Kind of.
I'm going to have you meet up with them. But if there's something that you think comes up later, if you want to treat this as a whole, as long as it's something that you would have learned from townspeople, you can ask it in the future.
Great. All right. Excellent.
I am going to have you, at this point, I think your music is interrupted by at first the weird bells, and then something that sounds a little bit like a pipe organ, but played in a calliope sense, and not in a church sense, or what we would in modern times would think of a church sense. The church does not use organs for music, but you hear that, and it's sort of drowning out whatever music you were playing. And people eventually just sort of either wander back to their homes or wander with the groups who are starting to go out towards the woods. And the sun is set, and the woods in the area around town are going to be dark fairly soon. As in minutes, not tens of minutes. And then the woods are going to be darker than that. What would you like to do? And you can now see your friends standing near the camp of the Lamashtuan Knights. The whole area of the town is not that big, especially that center of town area where the shops and the church would have been. There's lots of outlying houses and farms and things, or things like that. But that center of town area is not very big, so you can all see each other at this point. What would you all like to do?
I'm sure that because I rolled a 10, I might have gotten some gifts of like bread or something like that.
Oh yeah.
When I meet up with them, I share what I got with the other two.
And it's mainly like a kind of a crackery sort of bread, or hardtack.
Yeah. Yeah, I share it anyways.
Yeah.
I tell them of what I learned, which wasn't much, but yeah.
And everybody is there together, watching most of the people in the town walk towards where the music is coming from in the forest as the area gets darker. right there by the town, you're going to have light for another 30, 40 minutes. But once you get out into the woods surrounded by trees, it's going to get very dark very quickly. Or you're going to notice the darkness much more quickly. What would you like to do? That's all three of you. So you're noticing the music, but I also want to, you're noticing a light coming from somewhere up on the mountain. From almost like a tower.
Is the music coming from the same direction?
No, the music is coming from in the woods closer to the town. Now the woods sprawl all the way up the mountain in an unnatural sort of way, like past the tree line. But as the light becomes more visible, literally above where the music is, it's almost illuminating the turrets of a tower. It's like the light of a lot of candles. Is the character it has, though it's what it's illuminating is sort of like too much.
Perhaps if she is busy with the townsfolk and this performance, we can go. I mean, this might be an invitation for us to just go in and grab the candelabra. Perhaps she's giving it to us.
I think that I give some of the tack stuff that was given to me to Armand, and how is he acting right now?
He's looking like with the general air of despondency that he's had ever since sort of you found him.
He's not reacting to the ongoing.
Yeah. He's very happy you gave him a little bit of the tack, and he starts just kind of chewing on the edge of it.
Okay. Does he have sort of like an innocent look to him?
He has a very innocent look to him.
All right. Is there... Okay.
There's a lot of haplessness.
All right. Yeah, so he's like, basically he's really hungry. And how did you say he was reacting to the events?
He's like mainly he's as despondent as he was when you found him. And he's mainly just kind of following Nemes around like a puppy.
All right.
He's not responding to the music at all.
Okay.
He's
right. I think that I walk over to Nemes and I'm like, so this kid, you know, we can't really guarantee his safety if we're going to bring him along on this little mission of ours.
I mean, but we can't really guarantee his safety if we just leave him here either.
Are you saying this where he can hear you?
Yeah.
Sure.
And maybe he knows something.
But what are you going to do about, I mean, your little problem?
And he just says, I'm impure and I don't deserve safety. I think he turns to Altaban and just like, I'm Armand, the impure.
That's good. Purity is boring.
And I think that I lean in to Nemes and I'm like, look, I was there too. Just because the others left doesn't mean I didn't see what happened.
What are you referring to for our audience at home?
his magic that backfired.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. He's under control. It's just that one time. It's never going to happen again.
Are you talking about the Misa?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's just like, it's because you're friends with me. The saints have cursed you, and Zvasta has cursed you for protecting me.
So I think like we're walking along, right?
Are you? You tell me.
Yeah, I think we're like en route as we're having this conversation.
En route to behind sort of the people of the town, or
yeah, like this is all going towards like wherever this performance is happening, right? So I think that I kind of like step in front of you, Nimmys, and like get in your way. and I'm just like, look, I'm not stupid about these things. You have no idea the kinds of things that I've been a part of. And, you know, none of us have really any idea exactly what you've got stowed away here.
I've tried to rid myself of him, and he just is gone for a couple of days and back in the night, and I can't. He's drawn to me, I guess, and I don't know what to do.
Ultiman, or you can see and hear this happening. Do you have any?
While they're engaging with each other, I put my hand on Armand's shoulder, and we kind of fall back a little bit, just a little bit. Nothing significant, just so that they can have their conversation. And I say, we are all cursed. We are all damned, and we've all been in this position. And you can come with us, or you can stay behind. You will succeed, or you will fail. The choice is yours, or it isn't. You can cower, or you can stand. Is there like a manipulate roll or anything?
Yeah, it's only, I'm only going to ask you to roll if you're doing something risky. And he's like, yes, but you're going to see the lady, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. Or we won't.
All right. I'll come with you.
Good.
Can't live in fear of her forever.
No, you can't.
He doesn't look convinced, but he's definitely like, his eyes don't look convinced, but his body sort of points and sort of like he's going to walk with you. His eyes still look uncertain.
I think that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just clap my hand on his back, and I'm like, and I just like nod, like reassuring.
You also notice something too as you clap your hand on his back, as his collar sort of pulls back slightly. He has been bitten so as to break the skin, Altaban, right along the lower portion of his neck. Um, it's mostly healed, but there's still like scabbing.
Okay. What? I mean, I have I have spirit blessings. I feed my cat my blood, my bat cat,
Mhm.
my blood.
It's that sort of bite. It's the sort of bite you associate with your familiar.
Okay. Can I?
Except made by a almost human mouth.
I see.
And this is what you just see in the fading sunlight as you begin to walk into the trees. And Mason, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I was kind of going off. Yeah, I think as we're like entering the forest, it's getting darker, and I think like I'm like still not satisfied. So I think that I like reach over and I take sort of like gently take Wilburn, the little stick guy, the stick, what did we call it? The fire
The
elemental lizard on a stick.
yeah.
He's like in a glass. He's on a glass ball on this like rod
Yeah.
that has like a talon holding the ball or something like that. It's like
Something
really
like that, yeah.
ornamental and
Mhm.
crazy. Yeah. So I take that. I take that like that little staff or whatever, and I think I like flick the glass ball a couple of times, and I think like some sparks fly out, and like Wilburn starts like running around the ball a little bit and like creating a little bit of light, and I think I think that I think that I lean in to Nemes and I give him Wilburn back, and I'm like, you know, we're all in this together. We've been doing this together, you and I, since we were running around with Switham. I mean, don't you think you can like trust me to help you figure out what to do about this?
I I have I have a confession. I knew about shoot, what's his name? uh
Who do you mean by what's his name?
Martinus de Rosalba,
Yeah.
and his deal with Savasta. And so I put us on that ship because I knew he was there. And I thought maybe we could get some information about Svasta so that maybe she would be able to do something to help to take Vimiza away. And I think as this is happening, you're sort of seeing Vimiza like wrap his fingers around my neck, and then as I stop talking, you just kind of see like pale marks like on my neck.
I can see this, right? So
I think, yeah, you can definitely see this. Altaban can see it.
I think that I'm going to mark off I'm going to mark off a trait, and I think the one I'm going to mark off is I'm going to mark off Queer Charm, Smoldering Eyes. And I think that there's just like this, as I see this happening, I think I just like get like some drive, and like you can see it in my eyes as I as I I kind of I think I kind of like I'm kind of near you, and I think what I do is I kind of like spring at you and like push you against a tree, and I'm trying to oh, what's it called? I need to find the move. Yeah, I'm trying to basically
Are you demanding a short but honest answer about something?
no, I was trying to like get Vemeza to like back off. But I don't know if summoning and binding really fits.
I think that
like opposite binding.
summoning and binding would be, anything to do with making spirits do things. So
right, yeah. So I'm trying to like I use my trait, so I think I get at least an automatic success. It's basically a partial success. Okay. Yeah. So I think that I push enemies against a tree, and there's like this like puff of smoke as I do this. And does anything happen?
Nimbus, I'm going to ask you to mark off Watchful Ghost or Shadowy Protector. Either one. But I'm going to need Mason to either mark Spiritual Guardian in addition, or else let Vemeza have a parting meal from your own heart's blood.
I think that I'll conserve my HP and just mark off Spiritual Guardian.
Okay. So your own, whatever drove away Vemeza, whatever you did, has sort of, it's not made it a spiritless zone, but sort of definitely the undead spirits, those that were once tied to mortal forms, have gone.
Yeah, I think that like it's like a chase away, right? Like it's like shadows chasing each other away, quarreling.
And Altaban, you can hear your own Batwing cat sort of like let out a hiss.
I'm watching this happening, right?
Yeah.
So I can see a correlation, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I know summoning and bind. I send my cat off to do like some sort of reconnaissance thing, and I'm sure my cat knows that it's a fake. Just get away from here for now and come back later.
Okay. Now you have not banished Vemeza for good, but you have driven Vemeza away for net.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I lean in towards you as I've got you pushed up against this tree, and I'm like, I want you to let me be a part of this.
Nimbus, anything you'd like to add? there in response? What do you do?
I don't think I say anything, but there's like a look of hope in my eye, but like I'm still kind of like not sad, but like down because I know Vamisa is going to be back. So yeah. So maybe like a half smile.
And I think that I think I kind of like pick you up and like put you back on your feet a bit, and I'm just like, don't worry. We'll do it. It'll be fine. It might even be fun. Come on. And I pick up the Wilburn off the ground because he fell and give him back to you and just get on my way. Get on our way, I guess.
How dark is it now?
It's pretty dark, but that's a very good question, because even with the trees around and the fading sun and the very, very, very deep purple sky, it's not casting a lot of light down. It's like there's too much light coming from that tower, and it's reflecting on all the places that would interrupt your path. So there, anytime there's a stone or a drop or a rise or a tree root, you can see it even before Wilburn's light gets to it. And it's not even like moonlight. It's like that candlelight coming from the tower, and it's just coming far too far. And it doesn't look bright when you look in the direction of the tower, but it's illuminating things that are far away from it that should not be illuminating. And you can see people up ahead of you, illuminated by candlelight, sort of, gathering in sort of a circle around what seems to be the source of the music.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does Altaban know the music that's playing?
Altaban, I think and this would not be one of the questions you got from the village. This is just you as a musician know this. You know that the church does not use organs in its ceremonial music. It uses choral, a cappella choral music. But this is an organ arrangement of an a cappella piece, of a choral piece in praise of Saint Victoria. That is a long piece that's almost goes through like a whole bunch of important Saint Victoria studies or stories. But it's played in this like upbeat sort of dancey style. It doesn't sound reverential at all, but it's also played in a minor key and not a major one. So it's very much like carnival organ music. But you recognize the piece.
Is it come off as mocking, or does it come off as an attempt at reverence?
It comes off as almost like an inside joke. Like there's a mockery to it, but one that's not blatant enough for people to protest, to actively. There's a passive aggression to the mockery, as if the person who's doing it could just say like, but we were playing the piece. You told us, It's not breaking any rules, but it's being very bald about the fact it's not breaking any. It's not officially breaking any rules.
There's other people on the road too, right?
Yeah, there's other people walking through the forest. And just to be clear, they're not walking through like Pied Piper. They're walking through like let's, they have agency and will, and they seem to all be deliberately coming out here of their own.
So what do you mean, like Pied Piper? Like, what's that mean?
It's not like they're like lost control of their faculties and they're just walking zombie like towards the.
Okay, right.
They're talking to each other and having conversations and mentioning the light and they're coming out here
dancing and stuff. Like,
no, they're not dancing. None of the people you see are dancing. I mean, you can't see beyond this circle of people, but none of the people you see are dancing. They're curious about the music. The church knights, you can hear some of the voices that sound like the church knights mentioning blasphemousness and being shushed. But there's and Mason, this is almost a performance circle. It's not a ritual circle. I mean, there might be some sort of church ritual type thing going on in the middle, but it's not like, this is not a circle of people engaged in ritual activity. It's a circle of people gathering around to watch something.
I'm going to, like, the church knights are kind of like,
they're kind of off to one side, yeah.
They're like chatting, right?
Yeah, and they look annoyed with each other.
I'm gonna try and tail them and like get like right behind them and listen from the darkness behind them and see if I can pick up any of any talk about, because we just had like this big old fiasco basically, and I want to see if they're chatting about that fiasco and why they're after me. And I think that I look at Nemes and I'm like doing the signal towards them.
Yeah, so I go with.
Ultimately, where are you going? You can see the Lamashtan Knights, you can see church knights, people from the village. You can see your old traveling companions, Doga's crew, standing to one side. And this is what you're just seeing sort of behind the circle. Are you going with the other two, or are you going with... Where are you going?
I'm following the other two. Yeah.
All right. Armand looks like, Altaban, you can see that Armand looks nervous about seeing the church knights, but sort of like stands back a little bit and keeps pace with you. This is a little risky for you, Mason, so I'm going to have you roll with duplicity, unless you want to throw down a trait to avoid rolling and go straight for the partial success.
I think we're rolling without a trait.
Okay.
That is a 9.
Are you going to throw down a trait to upgrade the success, or do you want to hold on to that trait?
What trait could I use though?
Hardy?
Hardy would be a hard sell, but Destin or Dark Destiny might.
I think that I won't mark one off, and I'll just take a 9. Yeah. Yeah, I think what I'm doing is I'm like sneaking kind of behind them, and it's like we're in a forest, right? So there's lots of like cover and stuff, like I'm imagining in my brain, like trees and stuff at least, and I'm just basically I'm just basically sneaking from tree to bush, kind of like following them, and like as I'm kind of darting about, just like
Yeah, and you're sort of going wide around the circle to get where they are.
right,
Yeah.
just enough so they're in earshot.
Ask me 2 questions about what you overhear them talking about.
I overhear them talking about their cover story. For if well, so like, did they lose anyone when they're at the inn? Like,
No,
can't
you know,
remember.
there were a few people wounded, but they didn't lose anybody.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah, so they're talking about
Let's
the
go with
cover
that.
story for their wounds. Like what they'll tell the church, you know, or what they'll tell Reverence Salonka, you know, when they have to report.
Some of them ask about a cover story.
Right, something like that.
Some of them it's in charge, and then a very young knight just sort of gets up in their faces and goes, "We tell them we face darkness and demons, and we do not tell lies." And even the more senior knights look sort of cowed by this younger guy.
And I think the other thing I overhear them talking about is basically what I think they go over what Reverend Lanka like the parameters of their mission, right? Like what their expectations were going in, like what they know about me.
So they drop an interesting bit of information while they're talking. And I think that young knight and the older one start arguing. And during that little short argument, one older woman and this young guy start sort of arguing. And she's the one who seems to not be cowed by him. And you learn that there's one of these towers near Creed Hall, the university town, where your antiquities person previously lived, Martis. And there's one near the warlock town of Hemlock. And they say that each one is strange sisters, is how they refer to whoever lives in the towers. And they recently appeared. There is not a heavy forested area around Creed Hall, but now there is apparently a forest all around Creed Hall. And a dense forest that's always been around Hemlock has grown denser with new trees in it, as well as this tower. And this is the most recent tower they have discovered. And they're most frightened. And the woman looks like she's about to she's barely restraining herself from just punching this like loudmouth whippersnapper kid. And she would probably get the better of it because she's looking pretty sturdy. She's like, in this, if they begin to deal with the demons who live in what remains of Vale, then we will be in true trouble. I do not care what blasphemies they present tonight. Keep your head and watch. We are here to only react if something poses a threat, or something shows that they will let the demons trapped in Vale out.
Yeah, I think.
And Altaban, as you're hearing much of this same thing, and you notice that several of the creatures that looked at you strange, or several of the people that looked at you as sort of that demonic hungry look while you're playing, or looked at your audience with that demonic hungry look, are not among the people who left the city. So those are the people who sort of wandered back to their homes. Or not, I just said the city, the town.
So I can probably identify several of them, but perhaps not, obviously not all of them. So
Right. But you know that none of the people you saw with that clearly demonic possessed look are here. None of them left or wandered off into the woods.
Can we see that? I mean, like, are we climbing uphill? Are we going uphill? Like, is there?
You've climbed a good bit since setting out, but not all the way uphill. You're not up to where the tower is.
Is it enough to where we can look back and kind of oversee the town and like?
No. There's too many trees. It would be normally the case, but there's too many tall trees all around you. It's that sense of, like, I think through the trees you can sort of see bits and pieces of light or smoke from the town or the fires of the town. But you can't make out the town fully. You can't make out a broad view of the town through the trees.
How do I communicate with my familiar? Verbal or?
I think it's a combination of verbal and gesture, and if you want it to come, you can always get it to come.
I do. I want him to come back, and I want him to tell me what's going on in the town. Just a brief description. I don't need a deep analysis of scouting. If there's anything strange going on.
I think whispers that most of the people are here, but
right. I'm concerned with the people that aren't here.
Oh, there's, they seem to go about their normal business. It's dark on the streets. There's no travesties or anything like that happening.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, I'm not interested in following the knights anymore after getting this info. And yeah.
Like, you just kind of back off from them?
Yeah, I'll just kind of back off. And just keep moving, I guess.
Just around the circle, or?
Are we at the performance place already?
Yeah,
okay.
The knights seem to be standing, waiting to see what will happen.
Okay, yeah. I think that we just kind of like, I just kind of like lead everyone kind of away to find our own place and like around the circle.
Is everyone going with? Anybody standing off?
I'm going. I'm following. How far are we from the town? Not the town. The tower. Does it seem?
It'd be a nighttime uphill climb, but it doesn't look like it'd be that far. I mean, not even maybe a little more than a quarter mile uphill.
Okay.
And by climb, I don't mean like ropes and gear. I just mean, it'd be uphill.
Yeah, just slope.
You'd be hiking on an incline.
Yeah.
In the woods without having a clear idea where you're going. But there is a glowing object that stands over the trees, so that helps.
Right.
Most of the people around you have lowered their lanterns or put them out or turned off whatever or blown out whatever candles they were carrying to sort of light their way, because there's just enough light around. So when a bunch of the people with either natural or dyed red hair, much like Armand's dyed red hair, and wrapped in these sort of like harnesses made of like scarlet rope, that you've seen on all those Vastas sort of like emerge into the middle of the circle where everybody is standing around. And it's got some. It's not got a heavy rope or anything like that, but there's definitely an outline of a performance space that people will sort of naturally stand around. And you can see the music is coming from people playing very weirdly shaped flutes that look a lot like organ pipes, but they're generating the breath that's forcing through the organ pipes, and they begin sort of pacing out the edges of the circle as others dressed in the scarlet begin dancing. And you can all hear Armand just kind of slowly humming, like he's hearing a song he's played before or sung before, not like a mind control thing, just like you hear a song that you know and you kind of start quietly humming it.
So this isn't the same church music that we were hearing before.
It's another movement of the same piece.
Okay.
And it's not designed to be danced to, but played in the method it's played now, it sounds like a dance piece. And they are beginning to dance to it. And the dance is slow. And then they begin doing these sort of twirls. And the music does not necessarily pick up. But they begin doing these kind of big leaps at key moments. And then all of a sudden there's like they're forming like pyramids and carrying each other. And there's a fairly breathtaking acrobatic routine just sort of happening, timed out to this dance. And the church knights, especially the younger ones, look profoundly agitated.
So can we tell if this is at all like a ritual?
This is a performance. This is a dance performance.
Very clearly a dance performance.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at Armand, and I am going to use a trait to demand a short but honest answer from him. And I'm using Odd Pallor Curse Mark. And so I look to him and I'm just flushed white and I go, what do we have to fear about Svasta's performance? Or what should we fear? It's probably better.
It's not the performance. It's the. And he's trembling. He's like, it's the sermon. It's the sermon. It will be blasphemous. And then the communion. And he looks slightly thrilled and excited, a little breathless. It's like the communion will be very blasphemous. And you know that I get the sense that most of your characters are not particularly religious, but you know that communion in the Church of the Saintly Blood is supposedly sharing little bits of each communicant's blood in a vial with some wine that once held the, and it said that everything that they share it in was once once held the blood of a saint, or it was, they do something to sort of connect their own blood and the wine with the blood of the saint. So it's coming out of a chalice that held the blood of a saint, or a dagger that drew the blood of the saint, or something like that.
So is she going to turn all these people into ghouls because she's sharing her blood with all the people who partake in the communion?
Well, this is not Vampire 5th edition or Vampire any edition, but she is possibly going to share blood with people who are. And Altaban, you notice specifically that many of the dancers have the same sort of wound on the nape of their neck. Not in the exact same place, but roughly where Armand's was. Where they've been bitten into. And it doesn't look like they're healing badly, but it would definitely their skin was definitely broken. And at some point, they stop, and a very young woman. You've not seen anybody who looks like she might be in charge, but this young woman sort of emerges from the dancers and starts to talk about the corruption of Vale and the suffering of the people of Vale. And the demons that haunt Vale, and who will drive away the demons of Vale, and the failings of the church and the corruption of the church. And she doesn't use drive away. She uses the word bind the demons of Vale. She never says drive them away. She says to bind them. Or to trap them is another word she uses. And she talks about the failings of the church and how they burn people's homes and failed to purify the town. She goes on at great length, staring at the knights, the church knights, about the failings of Vale. And she just says, our mistress Vasta. Our mistress Vasta can purify this town and offer healing and relief for all of those who are suffering. And she kind of pulls out a ewer, and she pours a dark substance into a chalice, of a wooden or stone chalice. And she holds it up and she says, who will drink the blood of the saint living among us and receive its healing? And Mason, you can see the older knight physically restraining that younger knight, kind of by the edge of his shirt, like holding him in place, like you might hold a puppy who's clearly gotten angry or excessively curious, not letting him move forward. And he starts to say something, and she just sort of elbows him and tells him to shut up. And then you see Doga start to move towards the front of the crowd and say, I'll take it. The church has never done me any good. There's a slight gasp, and she's given a little of the whatever's in the chalice. And then some of her crew move forward. Then a few other people move forward. The Lamashtuan Knights are not agitated at all, but they're sort of standing to the side, just sort of watching. What do the three of you do? Armand looks especially sad.
Okay, sad because he's not participating in the performance, or like how do we read into his sadness?
Right now he just looks sad. Nobody has said anything to him in a bit, so he's looking very sadly at the cup.
I whisper to Armand, do you wish to be participating in this?
I'm too impure.
How are you impure?
Oh. She once would have drank from me before she gave her blood for the cup, but I have soiled myself. I've marred my future, made myself unworthy for her to consume.
How? Like, how?
He looks really like beet red for a second. I engage in the sins of the flesh, he says slightly too loud, and a couple of people look over. I engage in the sins of the flesh. And she cast me out.
Oh, so you're not cursed, you're blessed.
We are supposed to be above the libertine ways of the church heretics.
I sort of chime in and I'm like, what will happen to them if when they drink it?
They'll be healed and enlightened, blessed. I mean, they you know, there won't be. There'll be a bond formed between her and the one who consumes, much like the church believes that there's a bond between those who consume the chalice and the saints. But she's alive and present in the world.
What does she want to do with them? What does she want to do with this bond?
She wants to heal people and restore them and bind the demons. And too unworthy to assist her.
But couldn't you form the bond that you desire by drinking as well?
I have already consumed, and still I sinned. When I first consumed, she invited me to be one of her entourage, to study at the academy in the tower, and to be one of the ones who nourished her. No, I can never be restored to that. And as the ceremony starts to die down, and people are starting to slow down and coming forward, the dancers begin to dance again.
I think that I look at Armand and I'm like, well, maybe if you can, take us to her, we can tell her about your commitment and your regret, and maybe she can help you come back to purity.
You would, and I think he Mason, you use sort of a rope sort of dress, correct? That you're
Something like that.
your harnessy fashion sense.
Exactly.
I think he's just noticing that the similarity between what you wear and what the followers wear, and he which is not exactly the same, but there's a certain resemblance, and he's like, would you surely, if those who are pure and mature in the way of purity would go and speak for me, she would.
That is exactly who I am. Of course.
Surely, and he's looking at all three of you like, surely she would accept, I can take you there.
And I think that I like look over at Rin, or not Rin, Nemes, and just like shrug.
Altaban, you notice the pieces that are being played now are they're sort of jubilant symphonic pieces, and they're being played at a slightly faster pace than they would normally be played. And all of these weird sort of oversized organ pipe long flutes that people should not be able to power with the power of their lungs, but these people seem to be able to. And the tempo is picking up, but the key is minor on all of them, and they are entering a near frenzied dancing state. But all of you notice the dancing is incredibly athletic, and it's almost effortless it appears almost effortless for them. They're leaping, bounding, spinning, hurling each other like circus performers almost. This is far more exuberant than you would even expect from something like ballet.
Is it too late? Is it too late to get any of the drink that had her blood?
Oh no, no. In fact, Mason, this is a ritual-like activity. Are you resisting the urge?
I
As they
can't resist. If it seems like a ritual, then I'm like, what is required? But at the same time, I can't accept a blessing. So is it more like a blessing or is it more like a ritual?
What do you? I think sorcery is the best one here. Why don't you roll with sorcery?
Okay. Let's see. I got a 10.
You are in complete control of yourself for at least the moment.
All right.
What would you like to do? And Altaban, what would you can also fill in as well, whatever you would like to do. But I wanted it because Mason cannot resist a ritual.
What I would like to do is get the draw the what's it called? Get the blood and cast a binding, so binding her to my will, like binding her, like I want to control, be able to control her. So.
You'll need space to actually cast that away from where you are now, but that would certainly be a thing that would be useful in potentially binding her.
Yeah.
I
get the drink and I head off into the woods. Not too far, you know, but
right.
Is there just the one? Is there just the one cup? Is that?
Yeah, it's very much like big communion cup.
All right. When he's done with it, I'll do a thing.
What are you doing?
I think that
Ultimate, essentially, you're sort of like kind of feigning a sip and then blotting it away with a handkerchief or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and,
I want to.
It tastes much like that wine-blood combination you were forced to consume at church as a kid. Altaban?
Yeah.
It's slightly sweeter, richer. No, sorry, Mason, didn't mean to interrupt you. Mason? Didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry.
Sorry, no, it's fine. Yeah, what I want to do with the cup is I want to be a part of the ritual by taking the cup over to our friends who are here who split away from us.
Which ones?
The sick ones.
Several of them have already. The three of them who were sick have already consumed it. Bay is sort of standing there, sort of looking skeptical. And Amma is looking kind of just like she doesn't know what to do, so she's going to look gruff.
Yeah, I think that I'm just like taking the cup around to give people drinks who want to drink, and yeah, I stopped by that group, and I'm just like smiling as I like offer the cup to everyone as I'm walking by, and which of them was the one who was angry when we split?
It was Amma, the one who's kind of taken over because Doga and her two partners are sick, so she sort of like asserted authority.
Yeah, how does Amma react when I get there?
Amma raises an eye at you and sort of holds up her hand like she doesn't want any. And Bay just sort of arches an eyebrow at you. You notice that Donik and Doga and Zahara all seem stronger, better.
Is there a condition still visible?
You were just barely able to see it. It doesn't seem to be writhing.
Yeah, I think that when I get to Bay, I think I like take his hand and kind of pull him a little bit, like to follow me around.
He's kind of hesitant at first, but are you saying anything to him?
I don't think I say anything. I don't know. Maybe I smile at him.
Yeah, I think he sort of puts his hand on top of the cup and puts it down and gives you a quick kiss on the lips before sort of turning like he's going to go back to join his friends.
And I think I just grab his wrist and I'm just like, if this is what you came here for, then soon there's going to be a time for a new beginning.
If my sister's actually better, she's not going to need me to look out for her.
And I think I say, don't leave without giving a chance to whatever it is that we've started.
I get the sense that you'll know how to find me should you need to find me.
And
these things have a way of travelers have a way of encountering each other when they need to.
And I think I like I think that I like squeeze his hand and let go and say, "Don't worry. I'll do whatever I can to make sure that your friends are their better selves again."
We'll see if this works. If we need to leave, we'll be departing from Piscaro to go back over the sea. I trust you know how to find Piscaro.
Sometimes I wish I didn't.
Nimbus, Armand is looking at you like, you'll take me there? With his very big, completely guileless eyes. Please. And he kind of reaches out for your wrist and then he touches you and then he sort of pulls back away. Like, I'm sorry, that was impolite. But please, you'll take me there? I can lead you up there, but you'll speak for me?
Yeah, we just said we would. If you want, if this is what you really want.
He looks like he's got that he's trying desperately to resist the urge to hug you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Altaban, you've already sort of stepped away into the woods, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So I think seeing that, Armand is trying to lead you.
Me as well? No.
No, just kind of lead Nemes towards where he saw you go.
Well, shouldn't we grab Mason as well?
He's like he's going that way too, right? Right? He's going to join us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm around. Sure. Catch up with you.
Surely, if people pure of body and soul speak for me, she will try. Maybe. Oh, do you think it'll work? And Nima's big, huge, innocent eyes look straight at you. It'll work, right? If people pure of body and soul speak for me?
I want to lie to him. So
he's pretty guileless. It's not a big risk to lie to him. I mean, it's a huge moral risk.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'll sleep at night, but it's not going to be a risky thing to lie to him in the moment.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, we are clearly pure of body and soul. So she has to listen to us. We've come all this way.
I think as you were saying that, your son is standing looking back at him as the firelights or the lights around the circle where they were sharing that sort of communion cup are there. And as Mason is walking towards you, you see Bay sort of outlined behind him as you insist, like, we are very pure of body and soul. You know the effect that Altaban's music has on people, and you're saying that, you remember the jail guard. And he's like a puppy, and you've just pulled out a toy, the favorite toy. He's looking at you with such eager, innocent eyes. And he's like, this way, this way. And the path he's taking you on is nearly perfectly illuminated. And you can see that you're approaching the tower after only a short time. It's almost like the rocks this way are half forming stairs, or the trail has been set out with some, dug up so that it will be flatter, so you can just step up at easy intervals. And let's go to, as a 10-minute break appropriate? Yeah, let's do 10:05 my time, 7:05 y'all's time. All right, I'll see y'all then. Welcome back. Philip, are you back with us? Just a minute. I apologize. I'm at my office, guys, so I apologize for the terrible background music that's playing over the loudspeakers if it's getting picked up. So, Philip, are you back?
Hey, sorry. Yeah, I'm here.
That's okay. All right. You guys can see the tower sort of close to you now after Armand sort of leads you through the trees a little bit up the mountainside towards it. And it's weirdly lit, much as the path here was weirdly lit, as if it was there was firelight somewhere that was not terribly bright, but was still reflecting off the things you needed to see, the places where it stepped up, the odd tree branches, anything, or the odd tree roots, anything like that that might trip you up. And the tower is in front of you. What are you doing?
Do we get like a sense? Like, I guess I'm looking for trouble.
Okay. Do you get a sense of trouble? Is that what you're sort of?
I think what I do is I actually try to scout a bit. So once I get a sense of like the path that we're on, I think that I run ahead or I tell Armand, tell Armand I'm just gonna like go ahead a little bit, and see who's around, and then that's basically exactly what I do. Yeah.
He is completely credulous of pretty much anything you tell him right now. He is like, yes, of course. Of course, yes, that's what we'll do. You go ahead.
So what am I kind of approaching here?
So it looks like a tower, but wider, almost like the central keep of an old castle. It's fairly substantial. It's not like the narrow sort of watchtower sort of thing. There's some space inside it. And softer than it was down, but you hear almost the same music emanating from the tower itself, but softer, gentler, just faint.
Are there like windows around the tower or anything like that, or balconies or anything?
Yes, there's definitely some light coming from the top of the tower, where you can see whatever is lighting the top of the tower seems to also be illuminating the turrets around it. But the lower windows either have very, very faint bits of light coming from them, or they seem very dark. And that may be the angle. You may just not be able to see into them and get the right angle for whatever light. There may be something central to the tower that's lit. For instance, you can't see the inside of the tower, but there may be some sort of big, bright central chandelier that's hanging with lots of candles on it that is lighting most upper windows, but is very faint or dark when looked at through the lower windows. It feels like that's the impression you're getting, as if the rooms and the stairs are just around the edge, and there's something bigger and brighter coming through, but you're not certain. You have no guarantee or certainty that's the case.
I'm just gonna climb up and climb the tower and see if I can get a look inside without.
So just like one of the lower windows.
Yeah.
And how are you climbing? What are you using to climb? Are you just kind of grabbing onto the rocks and pulling yourself up?
Well, I do have this grappling hook, so
oh, nice.
I use that. Yeah, and I just grapple like all the way up. I think I actually don't go to the lower ones. I go to like one of the higher. Is there like, are there just like windows around it, or are there like something like a balcony or something?
I mean, the windows have bars in them. So you can I mean, it's an old fortified style of tower, so it doesn't have like big balconies or anything dramatic like that. So that would tend to undermine fortifications.
Right.
So it's all smaller windows.
Right. Nowhere you could climb in, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah. There's nowhere you could climb in, but there's definitely places you could climb up to and try to spy through.
All right. Yeah. So that's what I do. I just go to one of the higher windows where they wouldn't be looking for people. And then, yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do. Is this considered something risky?
Mm-hmm. You could be spotted, you could fall, there's all kinds of things that could go wrong. So let's roll duplicity, since you're spying.
All right, I got an 11.
And what are the Altaban and Nemes, what are you doing as Mason gets his grappling hook out and goes to spy?
Well, I was performing the ritual. I was the binding.
Nice. Okay. Nemes, what about you?
I was just trying to, I was just standing underneath Mason, just trying to catch him if he falls. But it's much more dexterous than I thought.
You feel a gentle tug, and you just hear Armand whisper, like, I could just take you inside? But okay.
I ran ahead to do that. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, are you? It seemed like he definitely wanted to keep Armand away. Correct. So, did you want to follow him, or did you want to like keep Armand focused somewhere else, or just something else?
I mean, I kind of wanted to like basically scope out what's going on inside this tower.
Right. Yeah.
We went like into it. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think it's more just Armand just going like, but I could have just taken you inside, but we can go around the edge too. Okay. And he's like, okay. Altaban, you were hoping to do that ritual, correct? Let's take a look. So your roll was sorcery. It is further than you can see. So there'll be a -1 to the roll. It doesn't affect anything larger than a single person. And the spell is not retroactive or delayed. Much like anything else, if you have I don't see one, but much like anything else, if you have a trait that would affect what you're doing, but you're doing something very specific, so it'd kind of be hard to find that trait. You'd be able to do that. Sorry. You'd be able to use the trait just to get a 7 and 9. But otherwise, you're going to roll with sorcery with a -1 for going further than you can see. Just let me know what you get.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was muted. So I rolled a 6. I rolled a 7 -1. The 6. I have a 0 in sorcery. So there's no trait like this? My spirit companion was helping me.
So if under the new rule, if you fail, if you didn't spend the trait before, if you fail, it's a fail.
Oh. Okay.
So that's the new one is the change rule is that before you roll, you can decide to automatically succeed despite the risk that the GM may put, much like a partial success. After the roll, if you succeed on a roll, upgrade your success from partial to full or full to critical. If you fail a roll, you can ignore 1d6 of damage you might take as a result of a failed roll.
Okay.
But as you know, I never go after the person who cast the magic. So paint the picture of this ritual for us.
I draw a pentagram or whatever in the dirt, and I use the I have some sort of cloth that I captured some of the you know, the kind of soaked up the drink, and I lit that on fire, like at the center of it, and it just burned for longer than it should burn as a, you know, piece of cloth. And I perform this kind of weird, kind of mechanical dance, like around it as I'm humming and singing to myself a little bit. So my music is part of the performance. Also, my spirit companion is also there supporting me.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mechanical value.
Yeah. So, Mason, you're up a good, you know, you've got like 50 feet of rope there. You're up near the top.
Yeah.
Rather agilely. You don't even hear the grappling hook connect, except maybe like a small click. You tug. You are up quickly, kind of in a burst of energy, and you don't see much behind the windows on the way up.
All right. So I got an 11.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I mark a trait to get a 12?
For a critical success, you may do so if you can tell me how that trait applies.
Yeah, I think that all the windows are barred.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I get like up to like the towards the where I'm grappled, I think I see that like an adjacent window that's a bit far away has a bent bar.
So what I'll do is that window that you can get to,
yeah,
will actually give you a pivot point to get over the edge of the turret.
Yeah, and I think I'm like full on like I'm like Prince of Persia-ing my way over to this other window.
So it's less of something you can slip through and more because, you know, even the windows unbarred are not.
I think it's like maybe just wide enough for me to reach my arm through, and you know, maybe there's something there that I can grab or something.
It's more that it's just high enough that will get you leverage to get over the edge of the top. Does that make sense?
No.
So the tower goes up.
Yes.
And the window is just tall enough. Like you can just get over the edge of the top.
The top of the
tower, yeah.
Okay.
Which will put you above what I'm about to describe to you.
All right.
Rather than trying to fall into the middle of it.
Sure.
So as you get to that window that you can see through, you know, the upper windows are sort of all glowing. At least the upper floors are sort of a flat, warm glow coming from all those windows. And you see a very, very beautiful woman in sort of a white lace gown. Yeah, the turrets would be like that upper area where people stood on top of the tower. So in a white lace gown, and she's sitting, and she's sort of like half just she's. I mean, they're not paying attention to her. They're sort of like going by memory or by rote, but they're playing a musical piece much like the one they were playing down at the ceremony and performance area. But they're playing it on like a wider variety of instruments, including like winds and strings and small handheld percussion pieces. And she's sort of just sitting on a little low chair in the middle of them. And she's sort of like, she's moving her hand as if conducting, but not really doing the full conductor thing. She's just, and she's sort of swaying. And there's dancers sort of spinning around the room. And they're all wearing the sort of the red rope harnesses. And she's sipping something out of a goblet. And it's definitely red. And they finish doing something, and she begins to applaud vigorously. She's like, "Oh, you're all exquisite. You're beautiful. You're doing such a wonderful, wonderful job." And that's when you see that you can kind of go over the roof, and you can sort of see through the trap door from the roof where there's sort of a step ladder leading down. Much the same thing, but from above.
So are you saying that this is like, I can slip in through this?
Potentially, but here's also what you see. She's like, "Let us do that third portion again." And she makes some changes and tells people to try different instrumentation, and she gives some direction about what she wants to see differently. And then all of a sudden she stands up and grabs her neck and makes a jabbing notion. And you see blood spill out of her hand, and you realize she has pricked herself with a pin. And then just sort of thrown blood onto the ground. And then everybody hears from down the mountain where the ceremony performance thing was going on, screaming. And the people around her, Mason, begin to writhe and call out and look like they're gasping for air. And she braces her shoulders and starts to turn to the window where you were just looking in. And now you're standing over her. And they all look like they're distraught and gasping and in pain and falling to the ground. Nimitz, Armand grabs your arm in a very uncharacteristically direct way for him, and catches your eye, and then sort of like reaches up like something is choking him, and then just sort of collapses to the ground, kind of grabbing his heart and his throat and gasping and sort of writhing on the ground. Altaban, you felt something stop your ritual and deflect it. You were doing everything you could, everything you were supposed to do, and everything that was correct. And then something took all your power and deflected it onto other things. And then you see Armand sort of writhing at Nemes's feet. You hear the screaming from below. And then everyone hears her at the window shrieking, "Who dares? Who dares to use my slave's blood against me?" Um, and Mason, what you see as you hear this voice is that where that very beautiful young woman in the lace dress was, is a cyclopean hag with sort of not much besides what looks like a white cloak wrapped around her. And then you realize that's her own skin. That's just loose skin that she has gathered around her as if it was a cloak. Or maybe it's the skins of other people, who knows? With sort of this grayish white puddle of skin just sort of pulled around her. And she's gesturing to the window. As the light from the candelabra begins to flicker.
Oh,
What
so I
do
can
all
see
of-
the candelabra.
you can definitely see now that it's flickering.
That was my other big question.
Yeah. It's one of those things
Yeah.
you might look for, but you'll notice when it starts flickering wildly. It
What-
has several
what-
candles in it, and
What
they
does
are
it
black.
look like exactly?
It is got what looks from a distance like some sort of etchings in it, like it might be holy symbols, but it's hard to see in the guttering light of those candles. But the candles in it are black and greasy, sort of wax, and they are starting to sputter and spew, surging and falling back rapidly. What are you doing down at the base, Altaban and Nemes?
I would like to furiously, ferociously, perhaps climb up the tower to, follow Mason, because clearly I did something and I need to correct what I did.
Go ahead and roll. Are you going to go with speed or with sneakiness?
Speed.
Speed. 1 second. It doesn't matter either way. Let's have you roll with ferocity, just because it feels like you're more just kind of surging up there.
Yeah. 7.
Do you want to spend a trait to increase that to a 10, or do you want to hold on to those traits for now?
No, I'm holding on right now.
All right, yeah. I think she sees you before. And you see this cruel woman standing there with what looks like a cloak of skin wrapped around her, otherwise naked form. And she has sort of like ragged red hair. And she points through the bars of the window, and it's just sort of like her arm is coming out, but the rest of her can't fit. And she's screaming and pointing at you as you surge forward up. And I think before she dislodges the grappling hook, do you want to be below her or at the same level as her? Or above her? Your choice.
Above her.
Okay. Yeah, you can. She sees you. She knows where you went, but you're able to get up above where she was, much the same way Mason did, onto the top of the tower as she turns and starts to move. And she screams, "Thief, sorcerer, necromancer, assassin." She is wildly hurling accusations at you. She might even call you a bad musician, though she has no grounds for doing so. And she turns. You see Mason up on the tower as she turns, and you can tell she's calling for you as she starts to move towards coming up the step ladder.
Wait, she's coming towards Mason?
No. You and Mason are both on top of the tower now.
Oh, okay.
And she is at the top level of the tower, so she's climbing up that step ladder towards the trap door that goes out to the top. Mason, she's not looking for Mason.
Yeah.
Nemes, what are you doing? You're muted.
Yeah. So Armand is he unconscious?
He's writhing. He is clearly in pain.
Okay.
And his eyes are as big and innocent as ever. As he grasps at his throat, having a hard time breathing, having a hard time standing.
I guess I try to push into the...
There's a door. There's a door to the tower.
Yeah, can I?
Because you see Mason's rope come tumbling down.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is the door open?
You can get in.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess I pull Armand in, just kind of stick him in a corner, and then I'm just running up the steps.
Okay. Well, let's have you roll. With, and this is about timing. So the big risk here is your timing. Let's have you roll with ferocity.
Sounds good.
There is nothing subtle about what you're doing.
That's a 12.
Well done, since you have a 0 ferocity. That's gonna mess with all my best laid evil plans. All right. You start surging up, and I think you can hear below somebody surging up wooden stairs below you. Both Altaban and Mason can hear that. And what are you doing at the top of the stairs there?
Well, I was trying to be sneaky. So I think what I do,
you're not in her sights.
So like the hatch that, so like the stairway that she's going up, basically it's something like a ladder that opens up.
It's like one of those attic ladder, step ladder type things.
And it opens like a hatch up out onto the
the hatch is open.
Oh, okay.
The hatch is, that's what you've been looking down.
All right. Yeah. So I have a rope. What would be easiest for me to do? Yeah, no, I think I'm going to
Do you want me to check with Altaban and then come back to you?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, Altaban.
Yes.
What are you doing?
I tell her I have a gift for her as I pull out my silver. I have a knife.
You do?
A silver dagger. And I plunge it into her heart, and she dies.
What's your roll with ferocity? to see if you
wasn't,
plunge it
wasn't
into
gonna be
her.
that, it wasn't that easy.
Yeah, it's not that it's risky. It's risky.
I suppose. I
It's
am,
also she's you're jabbing downwards on a staircase on a step ladder.
So okay, so can I call on my spirit companion to help me? I mean,
You sure may. You want to just make it a 7 to 9?
Sure. Yeah, let's make this 7 to 9.
All right. Roll. Either a green and blue d6 or roll a d6 in order first and second. Either way, and just tell me either what's green and what's blue and what's first and what's second.
Okay. First is 6.
Okay.
Second is 3.
All right. One second. So you plunge the dagger into her as she hurls you down the staircase, or down, not the staircase, but the step ladder, pulling you into the room and throwing you down. Would you rather have a golden opportunity, or would you rather have your dagger?
I'll have a golden opportunity.
All right. Your dagger stays in her chest, and you are now lying on. You are now lying amid her like writhing attendants who are screaming and gasping for air, and clutching their throats and trying to stand and exhibiting extreme weakness and screams. As she turns around on the ladder and begins to stalk down towards you, reaching for your knife as if she's going to pull it out of her chest and try to stab you with it. And now I want to check in with Mason.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to try and come in for the rescue, I guess.
She has turned her back on you.
Right.
So if this goes well, I'm going to have you roll some extra damage.
Yeah. I think I'm going to oh, do I want to use this trait first?
Or do you want to roll?
What do I want to do? I've got ferocity, so I've got 2 in that. So yeah, I think I'll take the risk.
Why don't you roll and tell me how you do?
I think it gave me the same numbers, but
what you want me to? Yeah, you want to try that again?
Yeah.
I'm dubious that, yeah, there we go.
Okay, so that's 6 plus 2 is 8.
Do you want to
And-
upgrade that success to a full success? If so, what will you do? I mean, you've not marked Destined or Dark Destiny.
I know both of those are probably the best. Yeah, I'll go ahead and it's my sword that I'm using for this, and so my sword is linked to my destiny. I think that as I'm moving, I've got my sword hanging down by me, and as I'm like rushing towards her back, the blood that was on the floor, it's almost like my sword has like the magnetic effect of pushing the blood away or something as it's moving along with me. So like the blood is like scattering away as I'm bringing the sword.
Why don't you roll 2d6?
All right. Got a 12 there.
God. Oh, come on. It's not that much to do. Unbelievably, Philip, I also rolled 2d6, and you only take 3 damage.
Nice. Okay,
so apparently these are three damage stairs that you're on, because it's what they always do, no matter what. To both you and Altaban. Okay. You have run her through with a sword and kept hold of your sword and landed at the bottom of the stairs, just sort of near Altaban, having run your own clothes and sword through the blood she left tossed at the bottom of the stairs. And there's lots of blood everywhere now. But it looks like something is happening to it as your sword connects with it. I think you saw the blood moving away almost with you as you ran her through. The blood on the ground moving away. But now that you're sort of landing in it, it's more fresh everywhere as well. And I think this is when Nemez comes into the room at the top of the tower. And Nemez, what do you do?
So they're both on the floor with Svasta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the blood is like doing something.
You didn't see that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something sort of.
Mm-hmm. So I guess do I notice the candelabra? Is that
you do notice the candelabra?
And I guess I just want to go and grab that and like, I don't know, just put it out. I don't know if it's doing anything.
But, so you want to grab it?
Yeah.
Put it out, flee with it, or just put it out?
Just put it out. Just, I don't know. It feels like it has some sort of power in my head.
Why don't you roll with duplicity? Just see if you can get over there before she does anything to stop you.
That's a 9 plus 3, so 12.
So you're surging over there quietly, blowing the candles out?
Yep.
The room goes into darkness. And you hear her scream in anger, not defeat or just rage and anger. Um, and you hear the people in the room start to scream as well. And then there's no more screaming, and there's just silence. A few choke sobs, a few sort of like people crying. But just other than that, quiet. The sounds of wind, night birds. What do you do? The three of you.
Is she dead?
You don't know. The lights are gone. There is no light.
Okay. I rush to where her, as soon as like this happens and the shift in the environment occurs, both the wailing and then the cease of wailing, I rush to her body.
The thing you notice is that there are fewer people around you than there were.
Okay. I'm mostly...
And you move towards her body. You feel something dry and salty.
I want to cast a summoning / transition spell.
To do what? To do what?
I want to basically what I want to do is I want to like catch her spirit as it's departing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to sing to it, kind of sing and ease its transition into its whatever it's moving on to next. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Trying to look at the... So it will go further than you can see because you cannot see in the dark. So once you roll and you'll have a -1.
Okay. I want to use Fey Blessing.
Okay.
No, I'm going to use Enchanting Voice because I'm performing this enchantment through my music.
Nice.
Uh, 10. No, 11. Because what does the bonus do? It's the trait. What does that do?
That just gives you a partial success automatically without having to roll.
Oh. So if I choose to use it before I roll,
Yeah, if you choose to use it before you roll, you walk away with a partial success.
oh no, I wanted to roll. I thought that it gave me a bonus if I
No,
used it before I
no,
roll.
no.
Oh, okay. So then I didn't use enchanted voice. I rolled an 11.
Oh, you go. Cool.
Yeah. Which
You can
is it?
bump that up as well after the roll.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll bump it up.
I won't make you bump it up because there's not much of a difference between a success and a critical success right now.
Okay. So basically what I'm trying to do is cast a spell so that it's not so much a spell, but it's easing her into the you know, like
Now remember,
hopefully,
you weren't exactly sure she was dead.
yeah.
So, but there was death. And I think your magic illuminates the bloodless bodies of some of her attendants who had previously been on the floor near you. Altaban.
Yes.
And you see their ghost standing calmly, quietly over their bodies. And they lean down, and in the ash that's at your feet, they shape a binding sigil. Not a binding. Binding is the wrong word. Warding sigil. As if they were sealing a door on the floor in the ash. And they start to hum the song you're singing. And the writhing among the ones who are still writhing eases.
What was the last thing you said?
The writhing among the ones who are still writhing or crying. They had stopped screaming, but some of them were crying and still sort of on the floor eases. And you see them sort of sit up and look towards the ghostly figures. And you get the sense that she fled, but whatever you've done has prevented her from returning for a time to this tower. And the people she killed on her way out are at peace. You knew from what you had seen, she was using her attendants for blood.
So I released them or something?
Yeah, you essentially gave them the peaceful rest. And wherever she went or whatever she did, she can't return.
I turn to Mazen and Nemes and I say, so do we have the candelabra?
And I punch you in the face.
What?
And I'm like, what did you do? And I'm just like, is her body still here? Is
No, there's
left?
no body. There's no body.
I'm like, where'd she go? And I think I like run over and look out the window or something.
They're all looking at the spot on the floor where they made the sigil.
And so I think I realized that she's gone, right? And
Nemes has the candelabra. Also,
And I think-
your silver dagger is there on the ground, Altaban.
Like
yeah.
in the dust or something.
In the dust, by where they made the sigil in the dust, and in the light, it almost looks like crystalline. That dust. Sorry, go ahead, Mason.
Yeah, I think I just go over to Nemes and I'm like, well, looks like we don't have a witch anymore.
And at least we have payment. We finished our job.
If we're, if we're getting paid, then, there's got to be more witches like this around for sure, right?
Wait, what's going on? Why do you need a witch?
Did you just freeze, Philip? Oh, sorry.
Oh no.
You were holding very still, so I was afraid your video had frozen.
No. I'm trying to get rid of Vimiza. He's beginning to take too much.
I understand. We have better than a witch. And I gesture to her laboratory, and we have all her resources. Next time you punch me, Mason, don't punch me in the mouth. It makes it hard for me to sing.
I'll keep that in mind. So, with all that done, is there so is anyone alive here? Like, did everyone up here just die?
No. Some are gone, but most are still here.
Okay.
And they're no longer writhing on the ground. They no longer seem to be in pain, even though they seem to be weak.
Like, how are they like behaving though? Like, are they like still like under command, or are they kind of just like, what's going on?
They all seem embarrassed, humiliated, as if they've been left. They all turn with very wide eyes and just sort of like, what did we do? What did we do?
You were fooled, but you can make amends.
How do we make amends?
We don't know everything that you've done. You do. You can start by helping the humans a veil rid themselves of the demons?
They nod and are just like, yes, that's. We should. And they begin to leave the tower.
So, like, is there actually anything like, useful in the witch's stuff?
There are books, and I mean, it'll take time, as with everything. But people like Switham and Malthus might have information or be of assistance in here. But there's not like a get out of shade haunting free card, but there's several books that look promising.
I think that like
there's one you can translate to on the bottling and preserving of shades. Though it is a hefty. It is a hefty tome.
I imagine Armand has kind of come to and come about and whatnot.
Oh yeah. He's up, looking as wide-eyed and innocent as he possibly can.
I think what I start doing is I literally just start like putting stuff in his arms to carry, and I think I gesture to Nemes as well, like, well, he's not nowhere to go now.
All right. So we're getting close to the end time, and I think I want to check with y'all, or what's the sort of the last thing you take away from the tower as people start to drift away, and or what's the last question you have about Vale or the tower, or the last thing you want to assure you do?
I'm curious how the travelers are doing that were sick.
It's not as bad as it was, but Bay will tell you that, and Amma will tell you that they got better for a time, but then they got very, very sick again about the time everybody started screaming, and they're still not 100% recovered. Like there was a moment where they seemed better, but after everybody stopped screaming, at least a little bit of the sickness came back.
Like, are we all kind of like cognizant that like we just like stopped like a mind control attempt or something like that?
Sure, whatever she was up to.
Right.
I mean, this is, it may have had some short-term benefits, but there were going to be long-term repercussions.
Yeah, I think that when I like leave the tower, I'm like walking down some steps outside, and I think that Bay is just like slumped down, sitting on one of the steps, kind of like stricken by this.
And Bay was not one of the ones who was sick. He was just sort of like,
no, I know, but he's like emotionally emotionally stricken. That it was all for naught, and could have been made much worse. And I think I just like go and like Bay is huge and I'm not. So I think
Yeah.
like when I'm like standing on the ground, I can just like put my hand on his shoulder and just be like, "Don't worry. There's a lot out there in the world that is waiting for us to find, and we can try something else."
He looks at you like, we can?
Look, I get it if, you know, your friends aren't strong enough to travel, but you are. You can get out there and find what you need. Maybe that's with us.
I think I'm taking my sister and her crew back to Pescaro. Is that where you're headed?
And I think I like look like up the stairs towards the others who are maybe like coming out of the tower or something. And like look for a reaction. Can we say it's like dawn or something dramatic like that? Yeah, so I look for a reaction from you guys on how Pescaro sounds.
First of all, before I can, I collect anything that's Fey related, like Fey lore, any Fey items, or anything that's Fey. But coming down, I put my hand on your chest, Mason, and I say, "We can follow this for a while," implying your heart, like I put it over your heart. Yeah.
The things you find in the tower, Altaban, are somewhat Fey related, but from a very outsider's perspective. There are books on the notion of the Fey and the meaning of the Fey and what the Fey might be, alternate typologies for the Fey and how they fit into a world of other dark spirit and creatures. There is a good bit there. So you are leaving the tower with a significant haul, though you may not be sure at this point who will pay for it. Who will pay for it? But the books are well illuminated, and some are quite old. Some portions of the books the books have sort of been like bound back together or glued together. Books you recognize as Krevborna in language and content, while others are in languages you don't recognize, but with similar illustrations to the ones you do. And one in a language you don't recognize, it looks like a monograph that just is stitched into a larger book, like it was part of an older manuscript. The cover may have worn off on something, and they just stitched it into a new binding with several other books. There are several illustrations of the woman you fell in love with. Who got you expelled from Hemlock? But you can't tell what it's saying, what the inscriptions or captions are saying about her, or what the surrounding text is saying.
It's time to learn a new language.
It's even in an alphabet you don't recognize, a very flowing script-like alphabet. Nemes, as you leave, or a last question or a last thing you want to say or talk to, or before you leave the tower or Vale?
I think I want to collect a bunch of that crystalline dust that Svasta left behind. And I think I just kind of leave with that. But once I see that the travelers are still like sick and plagued with it, I head back into the tower and I look for like magical parasites or I guess anything that would like could be related.
There's not much here, though. There are some tonics, things that are meant to invigorate.
Yeah, so I guess I just grab those then.
But it occurs to you that all her followers were very young and very healthy. Freakishly young and healthy, as if she expelled anyone who was no longer healthy from the tower. Which I think Armand will tell you if he sees you searching for serious injury or sickness was grounds for expulsion.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just grabbing like the invigorating potions.
Like I said, they're not as bad as they were. There's nothing writhing under their skin, but they are still not back. Like, you can tell looking at them that these were once hardy people. All right. I'd like to pick up with you guys back in Piscara, if that's all right. Or back in another city, if you prefer to be there. Sorry, Ren, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. I think if we were going back, wasn't it Chancel that we were left?
Yeah. I assume like we'll just, that you were able to, is anybody planning to swindle Vanessa Redmayne, or are you redelivering the candelabra to her?
I think that yeah, we would probably, I mean, I don't know. Like, we don't know anything about this candelabra. We just know that's really valuable and that people want it for like purposes.
Yeah. Whatever we decide to do with it, we don't have to do anything with it right now. We could study it. Armand, Altoban would be interested in studying it.
Yeah. So let's recap. Like, it wasn't just like we were going to get this candelabra from money. It was also
Martinus.
Martinus had promised to sell it. Had promised to sell it to Vanessa and then sold it to Zvasta instead.
Well, she has smartness though.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's holding him hostage until we come with it. So, I mean, I would be inclined to, like, I feel like story-wise...
It was also clear Vanessa had a buyer for this. She didn't care about the candlestick itself. Or the candelabra itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe we do trade it with her. How do you guys feel about that?
We also had a time frame that we had to give it. Remember?
Yeah.
We only had a certain.
Right.
You'll be able to get back in that time frame. So
yeah, we didn't really get held up or anything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Martinus is like Martinus, but he's also like, I don't really want him to like be in a bad way because we renegade on a deal. Like, from what I remember about her, like she was kind of ruthless. So like,
she's pretty ruthless.
Like, if we renegade on the deal, she'd probably like put out Martin's body as a display to try and send a message or something. Something ruthless like that. I don't know. But maybe like we are able to, like, you know, it's quite a ways to get back to Chancel from Vale, right? So like maybe we have like some time to like get answers from the candelabra or something. I don't know how that sounds.
Sure. Is that like what everybody else is okay with?
I think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, Altaban's still going to examine it between now and then.
Did we meet someone from Malkovat?
You did not.
Okay.
In fact, Malkovat is one of those things that's on the map technically, but no one actually knows where it is. I mean, you know it's in the mountains, but no one actually knows where Malkovat is. It's sort of just on the map somewhere in the mountains, sort of symbolically.
Yeah, I think that we're like walking along on the road or something, coming up on Chancel, and I think that I'm like carrying the candelabra and like turning it over, and what have I noticed about it? It's like, is there anything interesting about it?
So I think between the three of you on the way back, you notice that it's definitely etched with holy runes. That when lit, spirits are controlled or driven away in sort of the radius of the candle. You can also do some interesting effects with light, casting light, like at odd distances, or illumination at odd distances, increasing the brightness or the general illumination or reflection of the light. And where the light goes, Fae and other spiritual creatures, and including Vamisa, cannot come. Vamisa is very certain to let you know that Vamisa is very upset about the candelabra.
Yeah, so that would change things. Like
the Fae are also very upset, and as are other spiritual forces.
So are we traveling with the travelers?
No, because they want to go back to Pescaro. It'll be a while before they leave Pescaro, but they want to go back there.
So maybe once we find out about the spirits thing, we try to find them, see if the sickness is like.
You know that the sickness they had was not spiritual. There was some sort
spiritual?
of weird parasite. Okay. You could see it. You could literally see it under their skin.
What was it that the candelabra did that upset the spirits and the fae?
It just wherever the light is, they can't go. It's a boundary.
I see. Okay. Yeah, we need to get rid of them.
That's interfered with by sunlight and other lights. So weirdly, sunlight prevents it from having much of an effect.
It's like you have to be able to see its light, like, in order for it to do it. Okay. Yeah, I think
that's when Vimiza lets you know Vimiza is very upset about that candelabra. And I think you may suffer some wounds from Vimiza caused during the day. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Philip.
I mean, I was basically just gonna like ask Nemes what he wants to do.
I think. I mean, we've got to save Martinus. We can't just keep the candelabra and let him die, even though it was like his fault. And I think in a way, Nemes is like used to Vimiza, like, and he just sort of shrugs off like keeping it just because like I can handle it, I guess. And it doesn't even help during the day. So yeah, so I think I'd probably be leaning towards like giving it back or giving it to Vanessa.
Plus I'm like, this is out of character, but like the other thing is that you have that compass that was Martinus's as well that you stole, right? And you don't know what the deal is with it.
Yeah,
is that right?
I totally meant to ask about that, but it just keeps falling. So is that has that done anything since retrieving the compass or retrieving the candelabra?
The candelabra? No, but the compass has definitely detected something, though it seems to be moving.
So maybe you can ask Martinus like what it's actually for.
He's probably come across it before. Just
well, I mean, because it was his compass, right? So maybe
was it?
Wasn't that what you took from him?
I thought. I don't remember. Oh yes, it was. No, it definitely was.
I can't remember either. But yeah, I don't know. He would probably know anyway, because that's like his whole dig is like he like knows about rare stuff. So, yeah. So I think that we'd probably catch up with, I can't remember the captain's name, but we'd probably catch up with her, and yeah, make the deal.
You make the deal, and then shortly afterwards, rumor begins to spread that Reverend Solanka has recovered the long lost artifact, the candelabra of Victera, and it will now be on display permanently.
Can we have this be like a montage scene of sorts?
Yeah.
Like, I like to imagine that like we make the trade and like
Yeah.
like there's like a shot of us like getting this big like huge bag of money or something.
Yeah, you get the big paper check.
And like I think that like the candelabra is like rushed away. Like there are some of these knights there who like take it immediately or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like this big like commemoration that forms in chancel where, you know, like the clerics.
I think the what happens is you see Switham there when you go to bring it in, who nods to the two of you, all three of you, and then it's like congratulates you, pays Vanessa, who pays you, and then is escorted away by people in unmarked, just dark clothing.
And I just have to like watch because I can't say anything because he's undercover.
And then there's a small meeting of clerics, as there always is in chancel, and Reverend Solanka makes the big announcement before you even leave that the long lost candelabra has been recovered. And if he noticed anything else, he did not say anything. Anything else you want to establish there? I mean,
so like
you get the big bag of money.
Right, yeah, the money. But like so like Martinus is with us now. He's like,
oh
how
yeah,
is he?
Martinus
okay.
is okay. He
All right.
he's safe to go back to Creed Hall.
Yeah. And I think like as we're kind of like walking away from this ceremony, I think I'm like, and Martinus, don't forget, you still have to come through on your part of our deal.
I think that it's like there's this scene of Armand just handing Martinus like a massive fuck ton of books. And from there, I'd love to pick up with the aftermath scene, which could be Pescara, could be any place you want to be, and it could be your character with people, your character without people. I just kind of want to get your epilogue, and I think I'll start with Mason.
Yeah, I think that
and you have someone to meet in Pescara, so
yeah, I feel like it's Pescara, right? So
you have an appointment in Pescara, so
yeah, I think that I like come into Pescara on like a horse or something, right? Like, are we all together still? Is that the idea, or maybe? I guess I should.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but you just got a lot of feedback there.
How's it?
You're good.
Okay. That's the random thing that happens where the demon in my laptop decides to make itself known. So, yeah, I'm wondering, like, am I going to Pescara alone? Like, how does Nemes and Nemes and Altaban feel about Pescara again?
Yeah, Altaban's is going along. Yeah.
I think Nemes goes too. He's
Because like we were initially like not happy with Pescara, right? Like,
Well, there was
Can't
a
remember.
job that went wrong in Pescara that Nimbus conducted and got you all in trouble.
Okay. Yeah, I think that yeah, I like to imagine like we're a little more stacked when we come back now.
Yeah.
So, like horses, I don't know. And
It's oddly, Revelant Solanka has been quite solicitous of you coming back. There have been pardons issued.
oh, weird. Okay. But I think that like I go to like the local inn and tavern or whatever that's in Pescaro. Because I'd imagine that they would be staying there, right? So yeah, I imagine I would go there and um maybe I find him, like maybe they have like a bathhouse or something at this inn, whatever. And like yeah, like we chat uh and so like were you going with like the people who were sick? Were you kind of going with like they were getting better, or like
They
just
leveled out at something not quite well. There's
yeah,
an improvement, but they're not getting better. No, they're not getting well. They've gotten better, but not well.
yeah, I think that I remember that look that Switham kind of like the way he looked at me when we crossed paths just like not too long ago in Chancel, and I feel like I see him in like the bathhouse, whatever, and I've got like my pouch of gold, and I I basically like go in and ask him to sell me back the necklace that I gave him. And it's like, I should have never given that to you. Like, that's more important to me than what we had going on.
I think he gives it to you without any demand for gold. Does your offer still stand?
And I think like I sit in the bath as well, and I'm like, well, I mean, are you gonna be okay leaving them here in Pascal?
They can wait here for a while.
And I'm like, and I think that I take the necklace and I tie it to one of the ropes, and I'm like, well, I'm glad you found a bath finally. And that's like the end of it.
That was charming. Nimitz, going straight across. The character keeper. Where are we picking up with you?
So I think we're picking up in Creed Hall. Let me pull up what Creed Hall's like.
It's a college town.
Yeah. And I think I'm like sitting near the river. And just like reading, and it seems to be like I'm by myself. And then there's like, it's just Vamiza sitting next to me. But not like like attached to me, I guess. So he's kind of like his own thing. Yeah, so I don't know if we're friends, but he just kind of follows me around still, but he can't feed on me. Yeah, so I think I'm like free in a way.
Finally, Altaban. There you go.
So on our journey to Piscar, right? It's called
Piscaro.
Piscaro.
Mm-hmm.
I like I have us stop at like weird locations and weird intervals. And it takes us a little bit longer than expected. And I would like when we would stop in these locations, I would like disappear into the trees for the night. Or at first it was like an hour, and then it was a couple hours, and then by the time we almost reach Piscaro, when we almost reach Piscaro, I mean, I'm taking really long time, and it's like really starting to annoy you guys. Like we're not leaving at dawn or anything like that. We're leaving from our campsite like at almost noon, you know. And then one day, I just don't return. I just don't come back. And you guys go about your lives, and maybe like several months later, you guys are somewhere like at an inn. Maybe Bay's there. Is that his name, Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Bay's there, and then I just like I walk in, and I sit down, and I just okay, where to next? Yeah.
Nice. All right. I think with that, we're going to end broadcast. Thank you all for joining us.